Welcome to our VMware networking lab. So this is getting exciting now. So we've got our VMware installed. We have our Kali Linux up and running and our Metasploitable up and running. But how do they communicate with each other? How do we know what their IP addresses are? What if I don't want these two virtual machines connecting to my other network at home, which is really wise? Maybe I do want that to happen. So this session is quite important. So we're going to go through three different types of virtual networks. One is bridge networking, NAT networking, and host only. So this is going to be a little bit of a theory-based, a little bit of a lecture demonstration. So like a drawing. I'm going to draw some things on a diagram, and but then we'll go and do a little bit of practical later on. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's have a look at the. Let's get some diagrams up and running as I explain. So we've got, and it's a bit of, sometimes it's a bit of a mystery to us, but we'll see what we can do in this demonstration. So we've got our Windows operating system here. Zoom in a bit. There we go. So that's our Windows operating system, and within our Windows operating system, we have hypervisor. Okay. Double click that. We'll call this VMware. Okay. So what VMware enables us to do is it enables us to interact with the CPU, give give the operating system like Metasploitable or Kali Linux a bit of access to the CPU, maybe a bit of RAM. Now these shapes I'm doing, I'm just randomly grabbing those shapes. There's no particular reason why I'm choosing these shapes, but this one's a bit of networking. I'll put that networking over there, and a bit of storage. Okay. So VMware allows us to, and with working with Windows, allows us to get access to that. So, for example, if I'm going to get Kali Linux, VMware will say, okay, what we need to do is we need to set up a virtual network as well as getting access to these resources. So Kali Linux says, look, I need a bit of RAM, a bit of CPU, no problems. Yep, there we go. And a bit of storage. Okay. Let's put that something. There we go. And now the networking part becomes really interesting though. So this is our physical network. The physical network here, we call it a physical network interface card. So this is our. I'm going to put one over here. Maybe call it a physical network interface card. So this is something that you can see and touch, that you can plug in a cable into. This is for our virtual machines to be able to network and escape and go out to the internet or other physical parts of the network. It needs to go through here. Okay, so what we need inside VMware is a way to create virtual network interface cards for our Kali Linux machine. So this is how we do it. Just going to create another text. We'll do a virtual network interface card. We put it in here. Now it's not a real virtual. It's not a real network card. Can't touch. We can't see it. But we can assign an IP address to it, and we can, if we wanted to, we can create that directly to the physical link. We could do that, and then that goes to maybe we have a switch somewhere. So I'll just get or your local router. So if I have a switch here, from that port connected to that switch there, and one way we could do that is that it's like that virtual network interface card has direct access to that switch. It doesn't know that it's within a virtual machine. That's one way we can do it. Another way we can do it to do this is we can create a virtual switch within that these virtual machines here. So, for example, if I've got another virtual machine, say Metasploitable, right there, we could do something like this. This is all virtual. So this is going to be our virtual switch. Make that a bit tidier. We've got a virtual switch now. Okay, and we can do virtual connections between each other, between that virtual machine and our other one. Okay, so they can network to each other, and also we could create another connection to our virtual switch to our physical network, and then goes out to the network. This is really interesting stuff. There's a few different things that we can do here. So the connection between the virtual switch and the physical network interface card of PNI, that's called an uplink. Okay, right there. That's an uplink. Maybe we'll give it a different color. Make it a bit thicker there. So we've got a little bit of a virtual network going on in here, and that's good. This is a good thing. So how do we get IP addresses? How do we do other things? Well, this is the topic that we're going to go through today. All right, now the first topic, the first discussion we're going to have is about the bridged network. So we're going to look at bridged networking now. Bridged networking. Put that in a big color there. Yeah. So what's that all about? Well, bridge networking means that we are going to connect this virtual machine directly to the physical network. We're not going to do any virtual, we are not going to connect it to a virtual switch. And here, let me just get rid of these. We're not going to use this system now. We're not going to use this system. In fact, there's no virtual switch. That's gone. There's no uplink. Basically, say a Metasploitable machine, we're going straight to the physical network interface card and straight to the network. So, how does the Metasploitable get its virtual machine? Sorry, its IP address, and it will get it through the same DHCP server, and you should all have one. The DHCP server that your operating system gets it from. So now it's like it's a part of the network. So if I've got a PlayStation or an Xbox, or I've got my iPhone, Apple TV, whatever like devices you have in your home network, wherever they're getting their IP addresses from, the Metasploitable will get it the same way. And that Metasploitable, it's as if it's a computer or a machine in its own right on your network. Now, not ideal for this kind of lab setup, but it can be done. But just remember, if you've got it, so if you've got a say like a home router, let's get something. We've got a home router. Okay, try again. Yep, here we go. We'll get rid of that. We'll put that switch somewhere else. We might need it. But if we've got a home router at home and it connects you to the internet, Usually, that'll have a DHCP server on it, and that will give you your Windows operating system or your Mac or your iPhone or whatever device, even your Apple Watch, whatever you have, an IP address. The Metasploitable will get that IP address from the DHCP server as well. If we're doing the same with Kali Linux, if we're going to do it through a bridge network, then Kali Linux and Metasploitable are two computers, if you like, on the network able to receive an IP address from our home router. So you can do it. It's fine, works, but I don't recommend that because that just means that Metasploitable is now a virtual machine, a vulnerable virtual machine that attackers on the network, on the internet can target. They can get into a virtual machine that perhaps they can maneuver around your network. So that is bridge networking there. Now, in our lab environment, the way that we can assign that to these virtual machines is quite simple. We go into Metasploitable, for example, and go to Settings. And in Settings, we can go and have a look at our adapter. Okay. Now, Metasploit is a bit tricky here in that it has two adapters. We'll talk about NAT and host only shortly, but I'm going to change the NAT, network address translation network. I'm going to turn that into a different one. Looking at bridged connected directly to the physical network. Exactly what I just mentioned. We are now, by selecting this, we connect straight to the DHCP server on my home network, or if you're in a workplace, it'll be the workplace network. We're not going to worry about the replicate physical network connection step for now. We'll leave that. But it is now going to get an exact IP address. Sorry, it's going to get an IP address similar to my computer. Let's have a look at that. So if I go to OK, and I'm going to go to the command line, we'll have a look at my computer, my Windows 10 device, Windows 11 device, sorry. And I'm going to do so type command, brings up the command line interface there. I'll do an ipconfig /all. And it shows me I've got a lot of devices here, so it's probably not a great example, but I've got lots of things going on here, a lot of network interface and virtual interface cards. But the one that I'm using is scroll down, I'll find it eventually. Your machines hopefully won't have as many options here. Ethernet adapter, no, that's not quite it. Wireless LAN, no, I'm not on wireless at the moment. I'm connected to a physical, here it is. Ethernet, so I'm connected to a physical connection, and you can see that my IP address is on this network. Actually, no, that's not it either. Sorry, got to keep going. Here it is. That's the proper one. So this is Ethernet adapter. No, I think that's still not it. Virtual Ethernet. Hang on. We'll get there eventually. Hyper-V, VirtualBox, Media. I think I've got. I think the issue with my system is I've got VPN tunneling happening. So I've got this guy here. This is setting up a tunnel. But this should be it. Double check one more time. Here's another way we can have a look. Looks like my VPN's kind of messing up the system, but we go down. We can go to. If we go to search, we can go to the settings. And we'll go to network and internet. Ethernet connection, and yeah, we can see that that's my IP address. So it will look different on your system, but I've got VPN tunneling. I've got a lot of things going on with this virtual machine, but you'll see that's the network that I'm in. Now, that network address 192.168.1 will be assigned to Metasploitable and Kali Linux. Let's go have a look at Kali Linux. We'll put the password in again. And if we go over to the network, now I understand that maybe a lot of you, your Linux skills are not there yet, but will be one day. Just bear with me, just follow along while you're watching this. We'll go to wired connection. It says it looks like it's disconnected. Maybe we'll go right click and edit connections, perhaps. And then we click on the wired connection in the gearbox. And then we go to IP4 settings, and it shows us automatic. So we're automatically getting an IP address from the DHCP server. So up here, there is the terminal. You click the terminal, press enter a couple of times. I'm going to do the IP address command, or just IPA. And that shows me the IP address for our network. Now, I've got an IP address here of 154. So why is that? Because my Kali Linux machine, if we right click Kali Linux, go to settings, you'll notice that Kali Linux is not bridged. It's on NAT. We'll talk about NAT in the next, very shortly. I'm going to put that to bridged, and then OK. And then I will, I don't know why I did that. I'm just going to, it looks like it's been disconnected, and we'll try and find another IP address there. Try to do that automatically. If it doesn't work, I'm going to turn the network card off and put it back on again. But I might do that anyway. So right click, edit connections, maybe put that. That's still thinking. So yeah, I'm going to turn it off now. So right click, or click on it, disconnect, click on it again up here, and click on that, and it'll hopefully get me an IP address. So we'll just wait for that to happen. You'll notice I did an IPA. I'm not getting an IP address at the moment. It's struggling to find one. It could be something to do with my VPN, so I might turn the VPN off. Virtual private networking. So be back shortly, or after I turn the VPN on. So it looks like there's a bit of configuration that we need to do on this one. A little bit different than what I anticipated, what I thought. But let me show you how we can do this. So we'll go to Kali Linux, right click. We'll go to settings again, and we'll go to bridge. Now, what we need to do instead is it has automatic there, and Kali Linux does not like that, whereas some other virtual machines don't have an issue with that. But Kali Linux is a bit weird when it comes to bridge networking. So we're going to change this a bit. We need to do just a little bit of configuration. So we'll go to, we'll do this. So cancel that. We go to the edit up here on the top. We need to go to the virtual network editor. Now, it's a bit early for me to introduce this to you, but it looks like we need to go ahead and do this. So here are some kind of like our virtual switches. These are what our virtual switches are looking like in this area. What we want to do now is we need to create a new one. So if we've got VMnet, so we've got the NAT there, and we have host only. So what we might do is go to VMnet 0, which we're going to have to find it. Maybe right click or create a new one. Looks like we have to change settings, so you need administrative privileges to be able to make this work. We'll try that again. Okay, good. All right, now that's better. So now we've got VMnet 0 auto bridging. We don't want that auto bridging to work. So we'll click on that, drop down, and we need to go straight to the adapter, which I believe mine will be Realtek Gaming. I think that's the one. And then apply. And okay. Hopefully that will work. So not automatically, it'll go straight to that. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like it's going to work straight away. It's really interesting. So we'll right click, edit connections, that networking icon. Go to the gear, IP4, so we'll automatic DHCP, save. I think we should be getting an IP address. There we go. Really interesting. So that's going to help you set up your bridged. And you'll notice, look at that, 1.143, which is the same network networking address, the network that I'm on my local computer. But that's not what we want. That's not a good thing because we want to sort of like kind of isolate our network. So what we can do now is jump onto our NAT networking. So let me go and grab the other diagram. We'll continue on now. So now we're going to do NAT networks, network address translation. So what this means is that we're going to have a virtual switch in here. Inside, it's going to be virtual. So just get a switch. Yep. This is going to be a virtual switch. And this virtual switch will be providing these two virtual machines a way out into the network. And I'll show you how that works. So the virtual switch is connected virtually to these virtual network interface cards that are on these virtual machines. Okay. And from that virtual switch, we're going to connect over to the physical network interface card. So on this side is the 192.168.10 network. Okay, that's the network there. What we're going to do is we're going to translate the internal network. So we're creating an internal network here. It's its own IP addressing scheme. And that will convert that into a, actually, so that should be, yeah, that should be one. Yeah, so this internal networking scheme will be converted at this point so that the router will send the traffic to the physical network interface card into the switch, and the virtual switch and other internal components will then translate that outside IP address range to an internal IP address. Let me show. Let's hopefully make a bit more sense. Before we do that, let's bring up our VMware, our virtual. We go back to Edit and Virtual Network Editor. We'll bring that over here. We actually can see this in action. So just change. I need to log in as administrator again. Yeah. So bring that over. We go into the NAT. We can see that down here it says use local DHCP server to distribute IP addresses to virtual machines. This one is 192.168.154. So that's the range that we're going to use inside our virtual network. So 192.168.154, I believe, .0. Oops. So that is now our internal subnet. So the Kali Linux will get an IP address from that range, and the Metasploitable, same, it will get a different IP address from that range. The reason why this is a little bit more secure is that at least the network, they have their own network. They're not sharing the same IP address as your other components, like your iPhone or your PlayStation or your Windows 10 machines. There's not that much security, a little bit more. All right, let's run that now. So we're gonna change those like networking from bridged to NAT. Go to settings, go to NAT there, and it looks like yeah, so that's bridged. We're going to change that to NAT. Then we'll click on OK. And we'll do the same to Metasploitable. Right click, Metasploitable, settings. It's bridged at the moment. We'll go to NAT, and then OK. Perfect. So now if we go back to Kali, disconnected, reconnected, we might get a new IP address. And we do. And it's from the 154 network. So that's we've done that now. We've changed it from bridge that used my Windows 10. It's the same network as Windows 10, the host, but now it has its own IP address. But it can still access the internet. It has its own little private network going, but it still opens up vulnerabilities for our system. Now, if we don't need an internet connection, okay, if internet connection is not essential for our lab, or we want to secure this lab even more, we can do something interesting. We can completely isolate our network so that it doesn't get an IP address from our network, our the same network that our iPhones and our wireless router is on. We won't do that. We won't translate an IP address from external IP addresses to an internal IP address. We're going to completely isolate it. And by isolating it means that we're securing it completely. So what it does is it creates a private network. There is a way, later on, maybe we could show you that we can create another virtual machine that can act as a router, and we can put a firewall on it so that we can then access the internet. But at the moment, we're not at that stage. What we want to do is we want to completely isolate these two virtual machines. And this is ideal. This is what we want to be able to do. We've got Metasploitable here, and that's vulnerable. And we don't really need the internet yet. We might need the internet later on for our other activities that we're going to run. But right now, my suggestion is put this on host. Let's have a look at that. So if I go to, oh, by the way, let's have a look at Metasploitable on NAT. Just have a quick look there. It's like Metasploitable is playing up. Not surprising. There's lots of fun to be had on virtual networking. You're going to run into a lot of issues you're going to learn a lot about how to get out of those issues. I might give that a nice little restart. So go to power off. Shouldn't be doing that, but it's only so the machine's not that great anyway. It's vulnerable, so I can reload a fresh copy any day. But in production environments, we shouldn't do that. So that's loading now. What we'll also do is I'll show you a quick. I'll do a quick network connection. We'll connect Kali Linux. We'll send some communication from Kali Linux over to Metasploitable. But I need to know the IP address of Metasploitable first. So MSF admin. There we go. Oh. Okay, great. IPA, and because it's NAT, I got 154.29. Alt Control, move the mouse to get my mouse back. Go to Kali and just do an IPA there. Yep, so I'm going to ping Metasploitable. 192.168. Sometimes you have to press the numlock when you're inside a virtual machine. Another annoying thing about virtual machine. 128.154.129, and that's pinging, and there's success there. I'm getting successful communication. So NAT is working, but we're going to take NAT off now. Now, to get out of this, because it will go indefinitely, Control C will stop that ping. During our sessions on Linux commands, our basics of Linux, I'm going to tell you I'm going to show you other ways of ping and other network diagnostic tools. But for now, we're going to go to Kali Linux, right-click, Settings, and we're going to change that from NAT to host only. So that host is no longer not connected to the virtual network anymore. Sorry, the physical network. So there is no connection anymore. But we can create an internal network. Really important. There's no access to the internet anymore. Just for those two. And this is ideal for our labs when we're testing. So hackers can't come in or out. If you've got a malware or virus that you're working on, just to test your skills on creating malicious malware, then it will only affect internally. It won't be able to go out into the network. So this is what we're going to be doing now. The only thing is, we need to now create our own IP addresses. We need to do it statically. There's no DHCP server at the moment. So we'll have to do that statically. All right. So we're going to change the network adapter over to bridge. Sorry, host only. Okay, that. We might be lucky enough to keep our IP addresses. No, it's not. It's disconnected. We'll do the same for Metasploitable. We'll take that off the NAT and we'll put that on host only. Okay. So now they are isolated. They don't have an IP address because they can't find a network. But I'm just going to double check that. Maybe there might be a DHCP server that VMware might have set up for us. Let's just check that. Why not? Go to Edit, Virtual Network Editor. Actually, I keep forgetting to run that as administrator. Copying that over, go to change settings. You need to do that so you can make changes. Bring that back over here. We'll go to host only. Oh, great. So it does give us an IP. So there is a local DHCP server in it, which is good because changing the IP address in a Linux machine is a bit challenging. We're not ready for that yet. We'll be doing things like that in our Kali Linux our Linux configuration course a little bit later on. But that's the network that we're on, 1928. Okay. If I go to IP8, yeah, there we go. I can see that that's the network. That's 128. I'll go to our Metasploitable, and we're not getting any. We haven't changed the IP address. It's still in the old one. So double check if I've actually changed anything now. So I thought I did. Yeah, I have. So it looks like we might just do it. We might just do a quick restart. Oh, sudo reboot, I think. There we go. It's going to reboot and we'll get a new IP address shortly. Okay, there's another really quick and easy command instead of rebooting, but we're not quite ready for the Linux commands. We'll be getting there. Designing the courses and that'll be available shortly. So I'm just going to wait for that to restart. Alt Control to get my mouse back again. But the thing that I wanted to show you is that we will not be able to ping anywhere on the internet. And that's the thing, and that's what we're really interested in. So that's running, shouldn't be too long. They should, yep, here we go. MSF admin, MSF admin, IPA, and there we go. We're getting an IP address that's in the 1928 range. Alt Control click my mouse because guess what? I forgot the IP address again. 128 from the Kali machine. Back to Metasploitable. It's crashed again. If I jump out of that and I close. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I don't know. VMware and virtual machines on a host is just for us to practice. It's not, you shouldn't do this in a production environment. But anyway, so and again, I forgot the that pass 128. Okay, 128. Okay, so ping 192. Go press numlock again. 192.168.198. 126. Actually, I can't believe that I've forgotten it again. 128. I've got terrible memory. So Control C and 128. There we go. So it's connected and it's completely private. If I Control C, let's ping somewhere on the internet. Let's do, the Google server out there. Yeah, that's unreachable. We won't be able to get there. Definitely, even with our, even with our Kali Linux machine, we won't be able to ping the internet. Okay. One thing before we end this, that's the end of the session. But one more thing, if we did have that in settings and we did turn that into a NAT or a bridged, so that we could access the internet. Let's disconnect that and we'll reconnect it. We'll give you an IP address. Let's do an IPA. Okay, let's ping the Google server now. It's thinking about it. Should be able to ping outside the internet to the internet, but we'll see. Okay, it looks like I have an issue with my firewall. It won't let me ping, but I've changed that. I went to settings and I changed it to bridged. And by doing bridged, we should be able to ping the Google service now. Yeah, I can get access to the internet, but the NAT, I'll have to work out I'll have to do some troubleshooting on my own personal firewall. I've got a very, very strong and powerful firewall that I've configured. Very strict, so I won't let that go through, but we can through bridged. So that's why bridged is the least secure of those. So we're getting direct access to the network. Whereas NAT, we can do some security on that, which I've done heavily. And then you've got the private network, which is complete security. Now that's a long session. That's 40 minutes almost. A little bit longer than I thought, but I think I wanted to give you everything, the whole networking in one episode instead of breaking it up. But if anyone wants me to break that up into small episodes, please let me know and I can certainly do that. But then thank you very much for viewing, everyone, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching.